वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Is it text 34 or 35 that I start from?
35, Purvasha, please. Thank you.
Thank you. तेषामितीरितामुभावधार्य घोरं तं ब्रह्मदण्डम् अनिवारणामस्त्रपुगैः सद्यो हरेरनुचरभुरुभिव्यतस्तत् पादग्रहावपततामतिकातरेण.
When the doormen of Vaikunthalok, who were certainly devotees of the Lord, found that they were going to be cursed by the Brahmanas, they at once became very much afraid and fell down at the feet of the Brahmanas in great anxiety. For a Brahmana's curse cannot be counteracted by any kind of weapon.
भूयादघोनी भगवद्भिरकारिदण्डो यो नो हरेतासुरहेलनामभ्यशेषम् मा वो कलया भगवद्वितीक्ष्णो मोहो भवेदिह तु नो व्रजतो रथो अथाः.
After being cursed by the sages, the doorman said, It is quite apt that you have punished us for neglecting to respect sages like you, but we pray that due to your compassion at our repentance, the illusion of forgetting the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not come upon us as we go progressively downward.
एवं तदेव भगवान् अरविन्दनाभः स्वानाविबुध्य अतिक्रमामार्यहृत्यः तस्मिन् ययौ परमाहंसमहामुनीनाम् अन्वेषणीय चरणौ चलयन् सह श्रीः.
At that very moment, the Lord, who is called Padmanabha, because of the lotus grown from his navel and who is the delight of the righteous, learned about the insult offered by his own servants to the saints. Accompanied by his spouse, the goddess of fortune, he went to the spot on those very feet sought for by recluses and great sages.
तं त्वागतं प्रतिहृतोपयिकां स्वपुंभिस्ते चक्षताक्ष विषयं स्वसमाधिभाग्यं हंसाश्रियोर्व्यजनयो शिववायुलोलच् शुभ्रतपत्रं शशिकेसरशिखराम्बुम्.
The sages, headed by Sanaka Rishi, saw that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who was formerly visible only within their hearts, is ecstatic trance, has now actually become visible to their eyes. As he came forward, accompanied by his own associates, bearing all paraphernalia such as an umbrella and a camera, fan, the white bunches of hair moved very gently, like two swans, and due to the favorable breeze, the pearls garlanding the umbrella also moved, like drops of nectar falling from the white full moon or ice melting due to a gust of wind.
Krishna prasada sumukham sprihaniya sneha aloka kalaya hridhi samsprishantam shyame prathavurasi shubhitaya shriyasvas chudamanim subhagayantamivātmadhishyam.
The Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction, and his affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. The Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, and his broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, the summit of all the heavenly planets. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and the good fortune of the spiritual world.
Vitam shuke prithu nitambini vishpurantya काञ्च्यालिभिः विरुतया वनमालया च वर्गुप्रकोष्ठा वलयं विनता सुतांशे विन्यस्तहस्तामितरेण धुनानमब्जम्.
He was adorned with a girdle that shone brightly on the yellow cloth, covering his large hips, and he wore a garland of fresh flowers, which was distinguished by humming bees. His lovely wrists were graced with bracelets, and he rested one of his hands on the shoulder of Garuda, his carrier, and twirled a lotus with another hand.
विद्युत्क्षिपा क्षिपान्मकरकुण्डलमण्डनार्हा गन्धस्थलोन्नसा मुखमणिमत्किरीटम् दुर्दण्डचण्डविवरे हरता परार्थ्य हारेण कन्धरागतेन च कौस्तुभेन.
His countenance was distinguished by cheeks that enhanced the beauty of his alligator-shaped pendants, which outshone lightning. His nose was prominent, and his head was covered with a gem-studded crown. A charming necklace hung between his stout arms, and his neck was adorned with the gem known by the name Kastuba.
अत्रोपसृष्टामिति चोत्स्मितामिन्दिरायाः स्वानां धिया विरचितां बहुसौष्ठवाद्यां मह्यां भवस्य भवतां च भजन्तमङ्गं नेमुर्निरीक्ष्य न वितृप्ता दृष्टो मुदाकृः.
The exquisite beauty of Narayana, being many times magnified by the intelligence of his devotees, was so attractive that it defeated the pride of the goddess of fortune in being the most beautiful. My dear demigods, the Lord who thus manifested himself is worshipable by me, by Lord Shiva, and by all of you. The sages regarded him with unsated eyes and joyously bowed their heads at his lotus feet.
तस्यारविन्दानयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्रा तुलसीमकरन्दवायुः अन्तर्गतः स्वविवरेण चकार तेषां संक्षोभाम् अक्षरजुषाम् अपि चित्ततन्वः.
When the priest, carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, entered the nostrils of those sages, they experienced a change both in body and in mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding.
देवा अमुष्य वदनासिता पद्मकोशम् उद्वीक्ष्य सुन्दरतराधरकुन्दहासम् लब्धाशिषः पुनरवेक्ष्य तदीयामङ्घ्रि त्वन्द्वां न करुणामणिशयनां निदध्युः.
The Lord's beautiful face appeared to them like the inside of a blue lotus, and the Lord's smile appeared to be a blossoming jasmine flower. After seeing the face of the Lord, the sages were fully satisfied, and when they wanted to see him further, they looked upon the nails of his lotus feet, which resembled rubies. Thus they viewed the Lord's transcendental body again and again, and so they finally achieved meditation on the Lord's personal features.
Samgati me gayattamiha yoga marge dhyanaspadaṁ bahumatam nayanabhiramam Pomsnam vapurdarshayanam ananyasiddhir Outpattikeha samagrinanyutamashtabhogehi.
This is the form of the Lord which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary but factual, as proved by great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievements, but for the others, these achievements are not possible in full perfection.
Kumara uchuhu yontarhito hridi gatopi duratmanam tvam Sotyeva no nayanamulamanantara Yaryeva karna vivarena kuham gato naha Vitra nuvarnitaraha bhavadudbhavena.
The Kumaras said, Our dear Lord, you are not manifested to rascals, even though you are seated within the heart of everyone. But as far as we are concerned, we see you face to face, although you are unlimited. The statements we have heard about you from our father Brahma through the ears that have now been actually realized by your kind appearance.
Tam tvam vidama bhagavan paramatma tattvam satvena samprati ratim rachayantamesham sham yatte nutapa vidite dritha bhakti yoge udgrantayo hridi vidurmunayo viragaha.
We know that you are the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, who manifests his transcendental form in the uncontaminated mode of pure goodness. This transcendental, eternal form of your personality can be understood only by your mercy, through unflinching devotional service, by great sages whose hearts have been purified in the devotional way.
Athyantikam viganayantyaphi te prasadam kim vanyadarpita bhayam bhruva unnayeste yengadvadangri sharana bhavataha kathayaha kirtanyatirtham yashasaha kushala rasagyaha.
Persons who are very expert and most intelligent in understanding things as they are engaged in hearing narrations of the auspicious activities and pastimes of the Lord, which are worth chanting and worth hearing. Such persons do not care even for the highest material benediction, namely liberation, to say nothing of other less important benedictions like the material happiness of the heavenly kingdom.
Kamam bhavaha swavrijine nirayeshu hastaj cheto alibad yadinute padayorameta. चश्चनस्तुलसीवद्यदिते क्रिशोभः पूर्येत ते गुणागणैर्यदि कर्णरन्ध्रः.
O Lord, we pray that you let us be born in any hellish condition of life, just as long as our hearts and minds are always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Our words are made beautiful by speaking of your activities, such as tulsi leaves are beautified when offered unto your lotus feet. And as long as our ears are always filled with the chanting of your transcendental qualities.
प्रदुश्चकर्थ यदि तं पुरुहूतरूपं तेन शनिर्वृत्तिमवापुरलं दृशो नः तस्माहिदं भगवते नाम विधेम यो नात्मनां दुरुदयो भगवान् प्रतीतः.
O Lord, we therefore offer our respectful obeisance unto your eternal form as the personality of Godhead, which you have so kindly manifested before us. Your supreme eternal form cannot be seen by unfortunate, less intelligent persons, but we are so much satisfied in our mind and vision to see it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Purbasha. Very nice recitation, and thank you, Jyoti Mataji, for your nice recitation of the English.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dear devotees, welcome to today's chat session. We continue with our reading and discussion of chapter number 15 of Canto number 3. And today we shall be discussing text number 45. So let me bring that up. But before we do so, let's recite the Mangala Charanam prayers behind muted mics.
Om Gyanati
Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Rughunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Satidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivashari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschcha Dishatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh, text number 45. It's an important text, and Srila Prabhupada gives a very long purport. I just want you all to think about, why do you think Srila Prabhupada has given so much emphasis to this particular text in terms of a long and elaborate purport? What is it? What is particular about this verse that stands out, that warrants Srila Prabhupada giving such an explanation? Just think about that. When we finish the purport, I will ask you to share your thoughts. Pum sham gatim rigayatam hiya yoga marge dhyanaspadam bahumatam nayanam abhiramam pum shnam vapu darshanyanam anyashidhai patikai samagrinam yutam astabhogai. Word for word translation. Pumsham, of those persons. Gatim, liberation. Mrigayatam, who are searching. Hiha, in this world. Yoga margai, by the process of Astanga Yoga. Dhyana aspadam, object of meditation. Bahu, by the great yogis. Matam, approved. Nayana, eyes. Abhiramam, pleasing. Pomshnam, human. Vapu, form. Darshayai, nam, displaying. Ananya, not by others. Siddhai, perfected. Outpatikai, eternally present. Samagrinam, praised. Yutam, the personality of Godhead who is endowed. Astabhogai, with 8 kinds of achievement. Translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is the form of the Lord, which is meditated upon by the followers of the yoga process, and it is pleasing to the yogis in meditation. It is not imaginary, but factual, as proved by great yogis. The Lord is full in 8 kinds of achievement, but for others, these achievements are not possible in full perfection. Purport. The success of the yoga process is very nicely described here. It is specifically mentioned that the form of the Lord as 4-handed Narayan is the object of meditation for the followers of Yoga Marg. In the modern age, there are so many so-called yogis who do not target their meditation on the 4-handed Narayan form. Some of them try to meditate on something impersonal or void, but that is not approved by the great yogis who follow the standard method. The real yoga marg process is to control the senses, sit in a solitary and sanctified place, and meditate on the 4-handed form of Narayan, decorated has described in this chapter as he appeared before the four sages. This Narayan form is Krishna's expansion. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement, which is now spreading, is the real topmost process of yoga practice. Krishna consciousness is the highest yoga performance. By despite all the allurement of yoga practice, the 8 kinds of yogic perfections are hardly achievable by the common man. But yet it is described that the Lord who appeared before the 4 sages is himself full of the 8 of those perfections. The highest yoga mark process is to concentrate the mind 24 hours a day on Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. The yoga system as described in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or as recommended in the Patanjali yoga process, is different from the nowadays practice Hatha yoga as it is generally understood in the Western countries. Real yoga practice is to control the senses, and after such control is established, to concentrate the mind on the Narayan form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and all the other Vishnu forms with 4 hands decorated with conch, lotus, club, and wheel are plenary expansions of Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that one meditate upon the form of the Lord. To practice concentration of the mind, one has to sit with the head and the back in a straight line, and one must practice in a secluded place, sanctified by a sacred atmosphere. The yogi should observe the rules and regulations of brahmacharya to strictly live a life of self-restraint and celibacy. One cannot practice yoga in a congested city, living a life of extravagancy, including unrestricted sex indulgence and adultery of the tongue. Yoga practice necessitates controlling the senses, and the beginning of sense control is to control the tongue. One who can control the tongue can also have control over the other senses. One cannot allow the tongue to take all kinds of forbidden food and drink, and at the same time advance in the practice of yoga. It is very regrettable fact that many unauthorized so-called yogis come to the Western countries and exploit poor people's inclination towards yoga practice. Such unauthorized yogis even dare to say publicly that one can indulge in the habit of drinking and at the same time practice meditation. 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna recommended yoga practice to Arjuna. But Arjuna frankly expressed his inability to follow the stringent rules and regulations of the yoga system. One should be very practical in every field of activities and should not waste his valuable time in practicing useless gymnastic feats in the name of yoga. Real yoga is to search out the 4-handed supersoul within one's heart and see him perpetually in meditation. Such continued meditation is called samadhi, and the object of this meditation is the 4-handed Narayan, with bodily decorations as described in this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. If, however, one wants to meditate upon something void or impersonal, it will take a very long time before he achieves success in yoga practice. We cannot concentrate our mind on something void or impersonal. Real yoga is to fix the mind on the form of the Lord, the 4-handed Narayan, who is sitting in everyone's heart. By meditation, one can understand that God is seated within one's heart. Even if he does not know it, God is seated within the heart of everyone. Not only is he seated in the heart of the human being, but he is also within the hearts of cats and dogs. Bhagavad Gita certifies this fact by the declaration of the Lord, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe. The Ishvara, the supreme controller of the world, is seated in the heart of everyone. Not only is he in everyone's heart, but he is also present within the atom. No place is vacant or devoid of the presence of the Lord. That is the statement of Ishopanishad. God is everywhere, and his right of proprietorship applies to everything. The feature of the Lord by which he is present everywhere is called Paramatma. Atma means the individual soul, and Paramatma means the individual supersoul. Both Atma and Paramatma are individual persons. The difference between Atma and Paramatma is that the Atma or the soul is present only in a particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present everywhere. In this connection, the example of the sun is very nice. An individual may be situated in one place, but the sun, even though a similar individual entity, is present on the head of every individual person. In Bhagavad Gita, this is explained. Therefore, even though the qualities of all entities, including the Lord, are equal, the supersoul is different from the individual soul by quantitative power of expansion. The Lord or the supersoul can expand himself into millions of different forms, whereas the individual soul cannot do so. The supersoul, being situated in everyone's heart, can witness everyone's activities, past, present, and future. In the Upanishads, the supersoul is described as being seated within the individual soul as friend and witness. As a friend, the Lord is always anxious to get back his friend, the individual soul, and bring him home, back to Godhead. As a witness, he is the bestower of all benedictions, and he endows each individual with the result of his actions. The supersoul gives the individual soul all facilities to achieve whatever he desires to enjoy in this material world. Suffering is a reaction to the living entity's propensity to try to lord it over the material world. But the Lord instructs his friend, the individual soul, who is also his son, to give up all other engagements and simply surrender unto him for perpetual bliss and an eternal life full of knowledge. This is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, the most authorized and widely read book on all varieties of yoga. The last word of Bhagavad Gita is the last word in the perfection of yoga. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that a person who is always absorbed in Krishna consciousness is the topmost yogi. What is Krishna consciousness? As the individual soul is present by his consciousness throughout his entire body, so the supersoul of Paramatma is present throughout the whole creation by superconsciousness. This superconsciousness energy is imitated by the individual soul who has limited consciousness. I can understand what is going on within my limited body, but I cannot feel what is going on in another's body. I am present throughout my body by my consciousness, but my consciousness is not present in another's body. The supersoul of Paramatma, however, being present everywhere and within everyone, is also conscious of of everyone's existence. The theory that the soul and the supersoul are one is not acceptable because it is not confirmed by authoritative Vedic literature. The individual soul's consciousness cannot act in superconsciousness. This superconsciousness can be achieved, however, by dovetailing individual consciousness with the consciousness of the Supreme. This dovetailing process is called surrender or Krishna consciousness. From the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, we learn very clearly that Arjuna in the beginning did not want to fight with his brothers and relatives. But after understanding Bhagavad Gita, he dovetailed his consciousness with the superconsciousness of Krishna. He was then in Krishna consciousness. A person in full Krishna consciousness acts by the dictation of Krishna. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, dictation is received through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. When one is sufficiently trained and acts in submissive faith and love for Krishna, under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, the dovetailing process becomes more firm and accurate. The stage of devotional service by the devotee in Krishna consciousness is the most perfect stage of yoga system. At this stage, Krishna or the Supersoul dictates from within, while from without the devotee is helped by the spiritual master, who is the bona fide representative of Krishna. From within, he helps the devotee as Chaitya, for he sits seated within the heart of everyone. Understanding that God is situated within everyone's heart is not, however, sufficient. One has to be acquainted with God from both within and without, and one must take dictation from within and without to act in Krishna consciousness. This is the highest perfectional stage of the human form of life and the topmost perfection of all yoga. For a perfect yogi, there are 8 kinds of super achievements. One can become lighter than air. One can become smaller than the atom. One can become bigger than a mountain. One can achieve whatever he desires. One can control like the Lord, and so on. But when one rises to the perfectional stage of receiving dictation from the Lord, that is greater than any stage of material achievements above mentioned. The breathing exercise of the yoga system, which is generally practiced, is just the beginning. Meditation on the Supersoul is just another step forward. But to obtain direct contact with the Supersoul and take dictation from him is the highest perfectional stage. The breathing exercises of meditation practice are very difficult even 5,000 years ago. Otherwise, Arjuna would not have rejected the proposal of Krishna that he adopt the system. In this age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this age, people in general are short-living and very slow to understand self-realization or spiritual life. They are mostly unfortunate, and therefore, if someone is a little bit interested in self-realization, he is likely to be misguided by so many frauds. The only way to realize the perfect stage of yoga is to follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita as practiced by Lord Chaitanya. This is the simplest and highest perfection of yoga practice. Lord Chaitanya demonstrated this Krishna consciousness yoga system in a practical manner, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna as prescribed in the Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and many other Puranas. The largest number of Indians follow this yoga process, and in the United States, it is gradually spreading in many cities. It is very easy and practical for this age, especially for those who are serious about success in yoga. No other process of yoga can be successful in this age. The meditation process was possible in the golden age, Satya Yuga, because people in that age used to live for hundreds of thousands of years. If one wants success in practical yoga practice, it is advised that he take to the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he will actually feel himself making progress. In Bhagavad Gita, this practice of Krishna consciousness is prescribed as Rajavidya, or the king of all education. Those who have taken to this most sublime bhakti yoga system, who practice devotional service in transcendental love of Krishna, can testify to its happy and easy execution. The four sages, Sanaka, Sanatan, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, also became attracted by the features of the Lord and the transcendental aroma of the dust of his lotus feet, as already described in verse 43. Yoga necessitates controlling the senses, and Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the pure process of purifying the senses. When the senses are purified, they are automatically controlled. One cannot stop the activities of the senses by artificial means. But if one purifies the senses by engagement in the service of the Lord, the senses not only can be controlled from rubbish engagement, but can be engaged in the transcendental Lord's transcendental service, as aspired to by the four sages, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. Krishna consciousness is not therefore a manufactured concoction of the speculative mind. It is the process enjoined in Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Man manabhava mad bhakto mam yaji mam namas kuru. So a very long purport. Practically it's taken us all the way to the end of our session. So let me ask you, dear devotees, what is this particular about this verse that warrants Srila Prabhupada giving such an extensive purport? Who would like to say what they think?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances of Dr. Srila Prabhupada. I've
Hare
taken
Krishna.
this opportunity of, I'm shooting myself on the foot, but my understanding over here is Srila Prabhupada is trying to say that whatever this yoga practice and how we meditate, first of all, it is factual, it is not imaginary. We have to know that. That is the fact, because people are speculating quite a lot, because there's no proof and all that people try to say. So Prabhupada is trying to say that this is the fact, so that is the truth, one thing. Second thing is also what I understand is that, so my connectivity with Vrindavan Chandra Das Prabhuji is through my super soul. This is what is my understanding, because it is only through the super soul that I'm able to see Prabhuji, or see another Mataji, or see another, connect with them. The connectivity is through super soul. And meditating on the form of the Lord Narayana is the way how to do yoga than on the impersonal form, because the impersonal form is very, very difficult. Is what I understood. And even Sanat Kumar, all the four Kumaras who were actually wanted to become one with the Lord, or in the impersonal form of the Lord, they also got influenced by seeing Narayana and through the lotus feet of the Lord, that they changed their way of practice, and that can be so powerful in seeing. I don't know, this is what I understood, and it is, and Ashtanga Yoga was so difficult even in the Satya Yoga time and in Treta Yoga and Dwapara Yoga time. So that is the easiest way to, I mean, I'm just trying to narrate what is there, but the easiest way to meditate is when we chant this Maha Mantra given by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then it is equal to us doing as Ashtanga Yoga, which is what I understood from there. More higher than that, in fact. By doing the Ashtanga, by doing the chanting, and we can only do that by dovetailing our consciousness. So what we have to, by just following this, the super soul, just how can we just get attached to the super soul is by this Maha Mantra, which is the link. And that's how I understood, Prabhuji. I don't know, please forgive me. And for controlling of the senses will come out, other things will come automatically once we do this sincerely. The chanting is the main thing from here for us in this Kali Yuga. Prabhuji, sorry.
Yes. Thank you. You said many important things there.
Yeah, but I think I didn't go over the one which you're looking for, maybe.
No, you did. Actually, you did. There's a famous book written by an author called Stephen Covey. And this book is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Effective people means they are successful. And he said the first habit is to begin with the goal in mind. So Prabhupada talks about how there are many people who follow a so-called yoga process. But if you ask them, what is the goal of the yoga process you're following? At best, they may tell you it is to give them better health and more peace of mind. Or really, some may say, to achieve moksha. And this whole business of yoga has become like a business now. Even when Prabhupada first went to America, New York was full of Indian swamis and yogis who were living in great comfort, using Western clothes, eating meat, drinking wine, and associating with many women followers. So very few people understand or know what is the goal of the yoga process. So in this verse, we see, or what we've been reading, is about the Kumaras. The 4 Kumaras were yogis, great yogis. They were not pure devotees. They were yogis. Prabhupada talks in the purport. The yogis, they seek the 8-fold perfections of the Ashtanga Yoga process, the Prapta Siddhis. So without knowing the goal, what is the chances of achieving success on the path of yoga? Very little chance. The 4 Kumaras, they were practicing yoga for a very long time. The previous verses say that they had become so advanced that they could see the Lord within the heart. But now, in this verse, and this is what they are saying in this verse, now they've achieved the perfection of the yoga. And what is the perfection of the yoga? is to meditate in full consciousness on the personal form of the Lord. That is and that's why Prabhupada goes at so much of length. Prabhupada is trying to make his readers, the readers of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada is so protective of his readers. Srila Prabhupada is so clear in what he wants to communicate to these leaders, to his readers. And he's saying, here you go. This is the goal. It is clear. This is the goal. There is no other goal. That goal is to, Prabhupada says, the perfection of Krishna consciousness is to think of Krishna 24 hours a day. Now, someone may say, oh, how is that possible? We have to sleep. How can we meditate on Krishna 24 hours a day? We have to sleep. But Prabhupada says, when one has become accustomed to chanting Hare Krishna, even in one's sleep, one can chant the holy name of Krishna and be thinking of Krishna, because chanting means thinking of Krishna. There's a story Sachinandan Swami says in his book, The Living Name. He says Prabhupada came to Germany once, and he had this curiosity, what does the spiritual master do when he sleeps? So he waited for Prabhupada to take rest. And then he climbed up the wall and climbed onto the balcony of Prabhupada's room. And then he looked through the room and he could see Prabhupada was resting at that moment. And then he was looking to see what was Prabhupada doing while he was resting. And he could see Prabhupada's lips moving and his tongue moving. And he was shocked. He was shocked. He was thinking, oh, Prabhupada chants even in his sleep. And just as he was thinking that, one eye of Prabhupada opened. And with that one eye, he looked straight at Sachinandan to tell him, don't spy on your spiritual master. But Prabhupada is saying, and it's a truth. And Prabhupada says that, I've read in the Bhagavatam, if one becomes very perfected in chanting the holy name, even while sleeping, one will be chanting. So the perfection of, there's so much to speak here. I always like to finish by 1:45 and leave some time for questions. But the essence of this verse, the essence of this purport is the goal of all the yoga processes is to think of Krishna 24 hours a day in love. And one can think of Krishna should think of Krishna in his personal form. Now, one whose heart is contaminated, one whose heart is pure, is not pure, to come to this stage is very difficult, because the mind will always deviate one from this goal of thinking of Krishna, make us think of others. So therefore, the first part of the yogic process is to purify the consciousness. And people can try to purify their consciousness through different ways, through Astanga, through Gyan. But the most effective way of purifying our consciousness is by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. All victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement. In war, the English, when they go to fight, they shout out, Lord save the king! Lord save the queen! And they charge. That is their battle cry. The French, when they are in war, their battle cry is, Vive la France! Vive la France! And they charge. And the battle cry for the devotees of the Lord is, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. It's the means of conquest. It's the means and it's the goal. This Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There's so much more I would like to say and want to say, but I'll stop here and I'll take any comments or questions that anyone has. Any reflections? Anyone? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisance again. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. I really love that war cry for all the devotees. I was thinking you would say the Maha Mantra, but it was Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. That's absolutely wonderful.
That if we can't,
Hare Krishna.
Okay, go on, Mataji, go on.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think the goal, I really like the fact that the main goal is to meditate on the personal form of Narayan or of Sri Krishna, which is so difficult for us. And you were saying like chanting actually purifies us. We can imagine how when we are chanting, normal chanting, when we are doing, our mind is all over the place. How best can we actually concentrate on the Lord, Prabhuji? Because in the beginning, you can only concentrate on the form of the Lord only for a few seconds, and again your mind goes off everywhere. How can we concentrate on the form of the Lord all throughout the chanting process? And I was just thinking,
Yeah, sorry, I go on.
sorry, Prabhuji, I was just thinking in my mind, how do I improve myself, and maybe keep a keep a account of in that today's chanting, how much percentage of my time have I actually concentrated on the Lord, and how much have I deviated, and then work on that. And then I'm just thinking like, if I can do that and every day try to improve my percentage of concentration, maybe I could work on it. I'm just thinking, but maybe you can give us lots of tips, Prabhuji, of you have been in Krishna consciousness for many, many years, and how have you been able to survive all this?
Well, I think I should repeat what Srila Prabhupada said. This dilemma was posed to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's response was, don't worry about thinking of Krishna. Just focused on hearing the sound vibration of Krishna's holy name. And do it in the consciousness that this name is not different from Krishna. It is Krishna. We have to go through the process of purification. And then everything will be automatic. The more the heart becomes purified, then the more we'll be able to think of Krishna spontaneously. Trying to force the mind to think of Krishna is not a very easy proposition for those who are not completely pure. So our situation, at least I can say for my situation, not completely pure, but we have to give attention to the sound vibration and to hear it. And by that simple process of giving attention to the names of Krishna, the purification will come and thoughts of Krishna will be automatic when there's purification, when there's love. That's what Prabhupada used to say. We just have to to work at it. Put in the effort. Be sincere. Be attentive. And everything will happen.
And there's so many video clips they keep on sending us in this. There's a thing called about all Prabhupada's talks, and in that we can see how Srila Prabhupada was so dedicated, and his main goal was Krishna. The way how what is written in the purport, the same way he was practically doing it, and it was so. Everything you see, he's just making us be aware that how we have to be Krishna conscious. How we have to be Krishna conscious, and so dedicated. I was just really, really impressed from the way because initially when the first time when I came, I was thinking like, who is this man? Why are people praying to him? What are these devotees? How dare he sit in front of the Krishna and everybody else? But when we looked the reason why he's been so revered, he's done so much greatness to mankind for us devotees to follow the path. And the book he's written down is so easy for us to understand. Otherwise, who would actually read Sanskrit?
Yeah.
In my life, I'm thinking like I would have never done. In the beginning, I was thinking like, okay, I'll learn Sanskrit, I'll learn how to translate, and then I will read. But there's no life for us to do all that. Srila Prabhupada used to say like, read my books, distribute my books. I'm doing this all for you. Read my books. This is what he used to say. It's
True.
really an honor, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I'll stop here.
Hare Krishna. Oh, you've just reminded me, all of us have a great debt to Srila Prabhupada. 20th, when's the 20th? Is it Sunday? Is the deadline for, yeah, it's a deadline for us submitting our homages to Srila Prabhupada to go into the Vyasa Puja book. How many of you have already written and submitted your homage?
Oh, thank you for reminding me, Prabhuji. I'll write.
Okay, so please, dear devotees, even if it's a few words of gratitude, it's extremely purifying, and it shows our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. So write your Vyasa Puja offerings. I will send on our group the email address to send it to. You can send your offering to Srila Prabhupada for his Vyasa Puja.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. I would really appreciate that you post something about Srila Prabhupada because he was an exalted personality. And thank you so much for that amazing class today. It was wonderful that you brought the focus back to Bhakti Yoga from all the other forms of yoga that everybody's been misdirected about. So thank you so much. It was so amazing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Prabhupada is giving us the goal so clear. The goal is Krishna. So you can submit it to vyasapuja@krishnatemple.com. I'll put that onto our group. Write your offering to Srila Prabhupada. And through Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have absolute clarity on what our goal is on this path of yoga, on the yoga marg. No confusion. Purity. Prabhupada has given us how we can become pure and achieve the goal. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha Natakuri Vaishnav Vrinda ki
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.